Coming up on this week's edition of Thunder Insider, we look back at the Thunder's 6-game road trip and what's ahead in the month of February.
What a pass inside.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Russell Westbrook joins the All-Star team. We'll have more in the upcoming weekend down in Houston. And we'll tell you why Nick Collison spent some of his offseason in Africa.
I talked to a couple of guys who live on a refugee camp all year round. Every day they're doing the same thing. They're eating in the same dining hall, and then they're going and every day helping people out, and that's their lives.
It's all coming your way starting right now on Thunder Insider. Another edition of Thunder Insider. I'm Leslie McCaslin, joined once again by Brian Davis and Grant Long. Well, another month has come and gone. It's hard to believe we have reached the midway point. It's time for February, but it did not come easily. A tough 11 road games in the month of January. First of all, guys, did you survive?
Survived that travel. I've seen worse over the years, but this was for the Thunder our longest trip since the move to the Southern Plains. And, you know, the team would have liked 4-2 as a finish rather than 3-3. But the thing to remember, guys, is that you're in position to win every one of those games that you lost against playoff caliber competition. And I put the Lakers in there the way that we've seen them play in the last week. They seem to have made an adjustment, and I expect them to make a run. You're talking about Denver, you're talking about Golden State, two teams that are very much ensconced in the Western Conference playoff picture. And the stuff you did wrong that could have got you over the top that you didn't do, you can take the lesson and learn from that.
I completely agree with that. I'm going to take another spin at it because, like you mentioned, it was the longest road trip of the season for the ball club. But Scott Brooks got a chance to give some guys an opportunity to play. Perry Jones got an opportunity on the floor. Reggie Jackson got some extended minutes. Hasheem continues his development as well. You don't have a lot of teams in the NBA with the depth that the Oklahoma City Thunder have that could afford to let guys like DeAndre Liggins and Hasheem Thabeet develop on the road. And again, the longest road trip of the season, I thought Scott Brooks did a great job of managing those minutes.
So they go 3-3 on that road trip. They come home, but just for one game against Memphis before they hit the road against Cleveland again. But Coach Brooks and the players talked about how nice it is just to be able to watch film, to be at home at their own practice facility, and of course to get to play again at Chesapeake Arena.
Well, it was a long trip, but it's good to be back in our familiar surroundings.
I think we played well, and now we get back home for at least one game.
A lot of times you go on a road trip, you're trying to find areas that you can bond because you're with so many moments that you're with your guys, your teammates, your coaches, bus, hotels, planes, opportunities to spend time that you don't have the opportunities when you're at home. But one of the things that you want is the bonding, but we've always been a good team chemistry-wise, so I don't know if that helped just because it's always been pretty good. So I just think the road is always good, but it's also good to be back home and just to be with family.
I think you see just how happy we are to be back here in Oklahoma, period. Everybody's staying late after the gym, what we normally do, but people are kind of migrating here and just sitting in the locker room. I bet half the team's still in there just chilling. So good to get off the road and definitely be back in front of our fans.
Great, man. You've been on the road for 10 days. So it's also, it's great feeling to get back in front of your home fans for a little bit. Got to take advantage of it.
Just get some rest. There's no question. Get their bodies and mind right going into this game coming up and the next stretch of games.
Well, I feel like we saw a little bit of a different Kendrick Perkins, too, while they were on the road. We know that he's, the quarterback of the defense. He's the one that talks and gives the communication to the team. But he has scored at least 10 points in 2 of the last 3 games. How have you seen him impact this team recently?
It's funny that these things have happened on this road trip, on the past road trip rather, because Kendrick and I have had some sidebar conversations away from the team. And he talked to me about wanting to do more. We always talk about how the Thunder is trying to improve and develop every day and get better. And he wants to be part of that also. He understands that his role is to play defense, be a mass communicator, and score within the painted area. But he also wants to increase that range. He wants to impact on the offensive end of the floor. When he talked to me during this road trip. He talked about being aggressive with his offensive opportunities, not turning them down if he's open. He just wants an honest look at the basket, and he's going to try to take those shots. We see him practice that a lot in practice, so nice to see him get rewarded for it in the game.
If you get Perkins involved on the scoring end, you're doing what you need to do to be a more dangerous team. This team is, 14, 15-1 when 5 or more players score in double figures. Perkins is an essential part of that, playing the high-low game, giving you more dimension to your offensive attack. But the other thing is that I think that despite his desire, he will never lose sight of the fact, guys, that his main job is on the defensive end. And when, for instance, you were able to hold Dwight Howard to 7 field goal attempts in a game, you're doing your job at a very high level at the defensive end.
And another guy who's added dimension to his game is Russell Westbrook. We saw the 13 assists he put up against the Lakers, and he was rewarded for the way he's been playing this season, named to the All-Star reserves for the 3rd straight time. Here is a look at who will be going for the Western Conference: LaMarcus Aldridge, Tim Duncan, James Harden, of course, all those names there. And Russell Westbrook, again, guys, getting to go for the 3rd straight time and maybe playing some of the best basketball we've seen him play.
He's in some pretty good company, and Westbrook is really at the top of the list if you want to look at deserving members of the reserve side in the Western Conference. Russell is right there. We've been looking in the back of the house lately at his passing skills and his ability, and I know we're going to look at this a little bit later in the show, but his ability to throw darts, passes with flight attendants on them, to guys all over the floor. There's a dimension to his passing game now, Grant, that we've not seen.
Yeah, a lot of that's been set up by the activity on the offensive end by his teammates, but also I think Russell, I started saying this about him last season, and it's even more apparent now that he has a big-time presence when he takes the floor. You have to account for Russell Westbrook. When he's on the floor, there's a defense that's devised to stop what it is that he does. You have to account for the way he impacts the game on the defensive end of the floor, on the offensive end of the floor. So he's one of those big-time players. We hear Scott Brooks talk about him being one of the best two-way players in the NBA. He's certainly arrived at that point, and he continues to get better.
In last year's All-Star game, he had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and just 28 minutes of play. It will be fun to watch him and Kevin Durant in this year's All-Star game down in Houston.
Ahead on Thunder Insider.
We'll break down one of the quick strike plays the Thunder uses to catch opposing defenses off guard. Stick around, more Thunder Insider is next.
Up to bounce pass wide right of Cousins. Durant with the steal. Kevin up the middle, 3-on-2. High steps, takes it all the way, and Thunder's down. Bad pass by Thompson. Someone's had his back turned. Oh! KD serving up a little rattlesnake jam. A ferocious right-hand flush. He sailed by Thompson and assaulted the Kings on the interior.
Welcome back to Thunder Insider. Gotta love that, the voice of Brian Davis and the Rattlesnake Jam. But we are now joined by Nick Gallo from Thunder.nba.com. We mentioned before the break that Russell Westbrook has made the All-Star team for the 3rd straight time, and you are working on a story about Russell right now.
I had the chance to talk with Russ and Coach Brooks today, and it's clear that Russell's put in a lot of work in his passing over the last couple years, and it's been a developing process for him, but it's not just that he's averaging more assists than he did last year. It's the type of passes that he's throwing, the one-handed, left-handed passes, the backdoor cut passes, little pocket passes in the pick and pop. So he's really developed his game, and I'm working on a feature on that.
And speaking of that, we are going to look at some of these plays and break down some of these plays, including Russell's passing and what makes this Thunder offense so good. Let's start with one of these quick strike plays that Russell uses with Kevin Durant and Thabo Sefolosha quite a bit.
This is early offense right here, and mostly it's just Russell and Kevin Durant working together. This is continuity that they've built over the last number of years that they've been here with this organization, and they just make eye contact here. You can see that Caron Butler, the Clippers defender, is not even looking at the ball, and that gives Russ an easy opportunity to just rifle that pass in there to Kevin. Their nonverbal communication is really high, and that's something that this team coming into this season, communication, working together, execution on offense, particularly early in the shot clock, was really important, and that's something that they were able to do on that play.
That play continues to happen. You're going to look at Sefolosha underneath the basket right now. What's intriguing about this play is the terrific execution because everybody's spaced on the floor that will allow Sefolosha to get open underneath the basket. Look at the defense of the Sacramento Kings. Everybody's a play away or a pass away, so you have to get out on your man. Even DeMarcus Cousins, who's actually watching that play, he's close enough, but he recognizes that Sefolosha has an advantage, but he's still not able to do anything about it because of the good seal by Sefolosha, and then the spacing by the other 4 players by the Thunder on the floor allows Sefolosha to get underneath the basket for the easy 2.
Yeah.
when you have to constantly worry about Kevin Durant coming off a pick and pop. You had Kendrick Perkins there getting ready to set a screen, and then Serge Ibaka there in the short corner. Those guys are tough to deal with.
I think I give Scott Brooks a lot of credit for that because he understands how to make those diversions work. You send Durant off one side knowing that you're going to get Cephalosha underneath the basket, and Durant's going to draw that kind of defensive attention.
Well, speaking of diversions, I think we have another play coming up here that's slip screen from Serge Ibaka to Kevin Durant.
Well, here's the thing. You look at this pick, and Durant's going to come off the screen, Nick, and what sells it is the fact that Serge is going to go down and set that screen, and the trigger for Serge to slip the screen is the hedge by Blake Griffin. He's going to step out trying to defend Kevin Durant, and which he should. That's the three-time NBA's leading scorer. So defensively, you have to be aware of that. When he steps out, that's the trigger for Serge to go backdoor.
Russell's eyes and his vision here, I mean, just look at him. He knows exactly what is going to happen on this play ahead of time, and all he has to do is read it. So whether Blake Griffin hedges out or whether he stays in, he knows that he can either find Kevin Durant coming off that pin down screen or a wide open Serge Ibaka for the highest percentage look that you can possibly get.
And once again, that's that nonverbal communication that these guys seem to aspire to and continue to develop over the season. It's going to get better even as the season goes on.
And this is something you've seen get better because you've been here these years to see them improve. How much better are they this year?
I love the activity off the ball. We're talking about Russell's passing, but that wouldn't be set up if the guys weren't moving off the ball, slicing to the basket, setting good screens and trying to get open. The activity off the ball is something that I've not seen from this ball club since I've been here.
Well, Russell credited the spacing as well, which you talked about before, but the other thing is just simply that these guys know each other, they know where to be on the floor, and they're finding one another, and it's their teammates being in the right spot and converting that's really helping.
Well, and these were a couple of examples, but there are a lot of things they use on offense to get points early in the shot clock and to catch defenses off guard.
When you start a possession with 18, 17 seconds left on the shot clock as opposed to 10, your chances of being able to score on that possession are way higher. So let's say you start a possession, you start your offensive set with only 10 seconds left. Well, if it doesn't work, you're going to be scrambling with only a few seconds left to try to create something one-on-one. Well, Russell Westbrook has been really good about trying to get the Thunder into their offensive sets earlier in the shot clock. That way, if the defense plays it well and blows it up, they have a chance to run a secondary set and get something else, another high percentage look.
When you go early in the shot clock also, you create some confusion on the defensive end of the floor because what you're trying to do is go at them so fast. A lot of teams are trying to get back and determine whether or not they're going to play zone, whether they're going to play man-to-man. If that indecision for an offensive team, they're trying to attack that indecision. And a lot of times Russell is at the head of that, trying to push the ball up the floor, push the tempo to get those easy, quick baskets. And I think, again, a quick strike for a ball club that relies heavily on two guys to score the basketball. Anytime you can alleviate a lot of that pressure in a quick offense, certainly it behooves the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I love these film sessions. That's what we're going to call them. Thunder fans, the only place you can find play breakdowns like this, well, and during the games on Fox Sports Oklahoma. Thanks, guys.
Ahead on Thunder Insider.
You know, one of the things that we do in the community with the kids gives an opportunity to learn some fitness, play a little sports, and learn a little bit about their bodies.
Thunder fans, don't forget to take part in our Watch and Win contest brought to you by your Oklahoma Chevy team dealers. Not only do you have a chance to win tickets to an upcoming home game, just visit thunder.nba.com and enter the code 6544 or text the code to 68278 for your chance to win. Welcome back to Thunder Insider from the studios of the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. Well, wouldn't exercising be that much more enjoyable if you had a Thunder player teaching your class? For most fans, it would be a lot more motivating. Recently, several students at U.S. Grant High School here in OKC got the opportunity to learn from several Thunder players, guys who work out as a way of life.
I like you sweating. Looks like you working hard. You too.
You know, one of the things that we do in the community with the kids gives an opportunity to learn some fitness, play a little sports, and learn a little bit about their bodies.
Tell me the answers.
All right, I'll tell you next time. Next question I'll tell you. I'm going to whisper first.
Our kids, unfortunately, in the media, they're portrayed badly, and this was a great experience for them. A lot of them can't afford to go to the games, so when the players came in, their face lighting up was priceless.
Well, this station particularly, we were learning about different things about your body, certain type of foods to eat before and after games, and we're playing a little game. So
they were awesome. They were interacting. Our kids were, trying to block their shots. They were trying to block ours, and our kids enjoyed it. The smile on their face was really priceless today.
All right, there you go.
Just having fun being in the community. I mean, they come out and support us so much that we want to give back. So it's good to get our faces out here.
It's very important. I think, especially for me, growing up in inner city, you never have opportunities to meet, professional athletes and do different, things like this, and I think it's a great opportunity. 1, 2, 3.
And this Thunder event presented by Homeland is one of several in which the players help Oklahomans learn more about good diet and exercise. Well, it's no surprise that the key to the Tulsa 66ers' success is defense and strong leadership. Sound familiar? Closely modeled after the Thunder, they rely greatly on both. And two of their leaders, Dominique Sutton and Andy Routens, have been a big part in making sure that they take care of business on the court.
Andy Routens, number 10, Dominique Sutton, 21.
I think that both of those guys, Andy and Dominique, they are very important parts of our team, and they are leaders on the court and off the court.
Especially on the defensive end, I try to get our players in the best situations for us to win and be more successful defensive-wise. But just talking a lot more on defense and becoming a lot more aggressive, defense and offense, then it helps us.
Dominique is pure energy. He's motor of the team, and he's very aggressive.
Really get better. It's a job, and I got goals and dreams and aspirations. So, you only get one chance at this basketball thing, and I'm just trying to take full advantage of it.
Andy provides us with really good shooting. He's poised on the court, and he's capable of making big shots when the team needs that most.
I consider myself a leader since day one out here, especially having come down from OKC with training camp and kind of having a better idea than most of the systems, and going through that with coach and kind of him relying on me to relay that to the rest of the team.
Both of those guys are guys that are coming every single day to the gym to become better, and they work really hard, and I give them a credit for everything they achieved so far.
And be sure to check out the 66ers this weekend as they host the Erie Bayhawks on Friday, which is also Rumble the Bison night. Then the Thunder affiliate closes out their back-to-back against the Santa Cruz Warriors Saturday night. Call for tickets or check out Tulsa66ers.com for more information.
Ahead on Thunder Insider.
To see actually eye to eye with people that are actually living in some tough conditions, it made it more real to me. And I also saw that life still goes on, and people are still happy, and people can still be happy.
Catch up on the latest news, game previews, community events, and NBA action each week during Thunder Insider, presented by Integris Health.
Well, as we wrap up this week's edition of Thunder Insider, we take a look back at how veteran Nick Collison spent some of his time this offseason. He went to Africa on a special trip that he says was not only a great experience, but also gave him new perspective on life. Brian Davis sat down with the Thunder veteran to talk about his trip.
I need to hear about this trip, this Basketball Without Borders trip, because it sounds like it was amazing.
Yeah, I did the Basketball Without Borders trip in 2008, and in Johannesburg, South Africa. I wanted to go back if I had the opportunity, and they called. And so I was going to go again, but this time I did it. I went with UNICEF to Kenya on a field trip for 4 days prior to the Basketball Without Borders trip. And that was a totally different experience. It was very eye-opening. I was able to see people living in a refugee camp. Just actually stayed in a refugee camp for a night. And just to get perspective on the world and how other people in the world live and some of the issues that are going on in different parts of the country. It was a great learning experience for me. And if I had the opportunity to go on a trip like that and experience that, I was definitely going to take it.
Tell me more about what you take away from it, an experience like that.
I think just an appreciation for what's really important in your life. And you kind of always hear about people are suffering in different parts of the world, but it's always like vague information. You don't really know exactly what's going on. But to see it firsthand made a big difference for me, and to see actually eye to eye with people that are actually living in some tough conditions, it made it more real to me. And I also saw that life still goes on, and people are still happy, and people can still be happy. So for me, that was inspiring, that people can still function, still be happy in really tough situations, and like that's what puts things in perspective about what's really important, I guess.
If anybody had any doubts about this organization's commitment to community and the world beyond, a trip like this would sort of put those doubts to rest, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, I like I said, UNICEF and there's people that commit their whole lives to helping people. For me, I was just kind of there to see it for a few days and do what I could while I was there. But I think the goal of having the NBA as a partner is to be able to reach a lot more people and a whole different audience, and kind of tell people what are some of the issues going on in the world and what some of these groups are doing to help. It doesn't take a lot of money to to save a family or to feed a family. It's just there's just so many people with so many needs, and those are the people that really deserve all the credit. I talked to a couple of guys who live on a refugee camp all year round. Every day they're doing the same thing. They're eating in the same dining hall, and then they're going and every day helping people out, and that's their lives. So those people deserve all the credit in the world. And the NBA, I think, is a great partner for them. Like, I was able to blog about the trip, and the NBA and they posted on Twitter, there's 5 million followers on Twitter, so there's 5 million people that could be exposed to what UNICEF is doing to save children in Africa. So I think that's why the NBA is a really good partner for that type of thing.
Well, as we enter the month of February, there are many more home games, including 3 next week. So be sure to come out to Chesapeake Arena to check out your team, or you can always see the games right here on Fox Sports Oklahoma. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.